I don't get how a brand like Gymshark can make advertising mistakes like these. So I was looking to buy a pair of Gymshark shorts and I saw something that really confused me, but I ignored it because I just wanted to have the shorts. However, during the process of ordering, I kept finding more mistakes that I also see other brand owners make. But once again, I just wanted the shorts, so I ordered them and continued with my day. But at some point I was having dinner and I just couldn't ignore it and let it go, right? So I got behind my desk, wrote down all the mistakes that I could find, and I also included the solutions. I made some calculations, and by improving these mistakes, Gymshark could add well over $1 million a year in extra profit for their brand. So I emailed the list to their marketing department, and the funny part was, when my shorts arrived, I opened it, and inside there, instead of the shorts, was a note from Ben Francis himself, the co-founder of Gymshark. And it said, "The mistakes you found are being made by literally every other brand owner I know, and we fixed all of this in one afternoon." So in this series, I'm pretty much breaking down the Google Ads strategies of the bigger brands in the e-commerce space. And for those who don't know me, my name is Floris van Vleuten. I am the owner of Amplifize, the Google Ads agency where we help scale e-commerce businesses by using Google Ads, obviously. So after the past couple, I would say 4 to 5 years, we generated over 55 million euros in revenue for our clients just by using Google Ads. So we know a thing or two when it comes down to proper Google Ads strategy setup and optimization points, right? And over time, I found that even the biggest brands out there, like Gymshark, are making big mistakes. And they are pretty much leaving millions on the table. And in this series, I'm breaking down their Google Ads strategy and giving a proposed action plan on how they could improve that. Okay. So I got this doc. It's 14 pages long. It includes some screenshots of things that I found and things that is going wrong within their Google Ads space, right? Their Google Ads strategy. Now, I also proposed a certain action plan, and by my calculations, it will bring them in millions extra in revenue, maybe even in profit when it comes down to the lifetime value of their customers. So let's dive right in. I'm going to make it as short as humanly possible. So I'm going to walk you through the entire document. And by the end of it, I got a little present for you. So stick around to that. Now, the Gymshark Google Ads breakdown, how a market leader is quietly leaving millions on the table and how we, as an agency, would fix it. So we all know Gymshark, right? One of the biggest and strongest fitness brands in the world. But in Google Ads, they're leaving seriously money on the table. Not because of their budget or their brand strength, but because of execution gaps. And in 2026, that's pretty much unacceptable. So let's break it down, okay? There are a couple points that I want to mention. We got around 7 points and then my proposed action plan. So let's dive in. So the biggest problem is that Gymshark is pretty much invisible when and where it really matters. So Gymshark is massively underrepresented in non-branded high-intent search terms. So think literally terms by mentioning their product like women gym leggings, seamless gym set, gym wear women, or activewear set. And these aren't discovery searches. They're literally buying intent searches. So you want to show up on the top of the page, especially when you have the budget and the brand like Gymshark. So when looking at these search terms and the search engine result page, the search is conducted in the London area, so in the UK. And as we can see right here, yes, they do show up with one example right there. But looking at the 3, 6, 8 results, they only take 1/8 of the entire search engine page. And then looking at the sponsored results for search ads, they're not even showing up, which is pretty crazy to me. So according to my research, competitors are consistently showing up while Gymshark doesn't. We just have one show up, right? Which means that they're not capturing demand, they're letting competitors take the sale, and they're losing category ownership, as we call it. So what that really means is that if someone searches for example, women leggings gym, and Gymshark's not there, they don't exist in that specific moment. So somebody's ready to buy, and then they probably know Gymshark because it's such a big brand. But if they don't show up consistently there, they lose out on the sale. And that's not a brand problem, but a Google Ads structure problem. We can simply fix that. So what we would do at Amplifize is basically we would rebuild the entire search structure into a category capture, right? So we have non-branded and solution aware, high intent transactional search terms, a little bit of brand defense. So bidding on the Gymshark terms just to make sure that the competitors aren't dominantly showing up on their own terms. We want to show up when people are looking for competitors or comparing, for example, and we always, or pretty much always, use feeder campaigns into Performance Max. So for those who don't know, Performance Max is probably the most powerful campaign type right now within the Google Ads ecosystem, but it goes after the easiest to get conversions. And what we want to do is basically feed and put that PMax campaign on steroids, or those PMax campaigns, if you will. And how we do that is by using a standard shopping campaign with a very low target ROAS. That's a bidding strategy within Google Ads, where we basically fuel the Performance Max campaign with a little bit of a colder audience, which makes the PMax way more ready to scale. And that way we can increase budgets by some of our clients every 2 to 3 days even, okay? With obviously hitting our KPIs. So yes, we separate branded and non-branded always, and we don't use a Performance Max only shortcut. And I'm not saying that they are, but that's just a reminder that everybody out there should use more than just a Performance Max campaign. Even Google's best practices list that out. So looking at point number 2 is that they are literally missing free profit. And that's about something called a CSS. So as you can see right here, the Gymshark ads do show up, which is good. They have a good image, they have a good title, they have a price listed there, 30-day returns, the USPs, they have pretty much everything right there. But as you look right here, it says by Google right here in the ad, right? And for example, with ASOS, even though they have a very low review, low rating, they are using a CSS partner, in this case, Product Hero. We always use Big Shopper at our agency, but how it works is is pretty much this. So you bid in a certain auction, right? So you enter an auction with a cost that you are willing to pay to Google to get the click. That's how PPC works. Now, if you are listing your products by using Google's own CSS, which is the default, as you can see right here, and many brands are still using that, Google takes 20% off of whatever your bid is, and it takes it for themselves. And there was this lawsuit, I think it was about 5-6 years ago, I'm not entirely sure. It was a while back, where brands said basically, yeah, we are forced to use your Google CSS, and then you take 20% of all of our clicks. That's pretty strange, right? They lost that lawsuit, and they pretty much had to open the ecosystem to third-party CSS systems, okay? So what that means in a nutshell is that instead of using Google's default CSS and paying them 20% on every click on the shopping network, what they do is they enable third parties to host your products to Google, which costs a fixed amount a month. So for Big Shopper, it's usually between $50 and $100 a month. Okay. So yeah, you could basically calculate that it's already worth it in terms of ROI if you're spending already like 500 euros on shopping ish, probably lower. So we always use this for all of our clients, which gives them extra cash flow to reinvest in the business, which sets us up for more scalability or even more profits. Okay. So that alone costs them 20% higher CPCs on shopping traffic, and that's not small. That's less scale, lower margins, and worse competitiveness in auctions, because obviously you can bid more if you don't get a 20% discount, if you don't have to pay 20% extra for every click, right? So what we would do is integrate a CSS partner. It's literally done in a couple clicks, which instantly reduces the CPCs by 20%, and we would reallocate savings into real scaling. And that's one of the easiest wins in Google Ads, and Gymshark in this case is missing it. This only applies for brands advertising in the UK and the EU, so that's good to know. Now, looking at the third. The ad copy itself in the search ads looks pretty generic, if you ask me. So it's a premium fitness brand, but their ad copy is extremely basic. So obviously, Gymshark has a lot of authority, right? They've been around for a while. They are being worn by certain athletes. They have their partners. They have their social proof. And right now, they're missing urgency, scarcity, and a strong offer in those ads as well. So for gym clothes women, we show up with Gymshark saying gym clothes and workout wear. Gymshark, we do gym. Your new personal bests will look good in a fresh new Gymshark fit. Get yours now. And that's it. So that's a pretty big deal in my opinion, because if ads look cheap, you'll get a lower CTR and a higher CPC. And this is all pretty basic stuff, okay? And if you have a lower click-through rate, Google punishes that by lowering your one of the metrics called quality score. You can forget it, but just remember that the better your ad and the higher amount of people will click on the ad itself, the higher your quality score will be. And it also has something to do with relevancy. So you want to have a keyword that you bid on also mentioned in the ad copy and on your landing pages, right? So that's just what you want to do. And what we would do within Amplifize is we would create a clear product or category intent within the first headline, second headline mentioning a core USP, so fit, performance, or material. And then for the third headline, we would use trust. So reviews, athletes, or community. We can literally say worn by 100,000, hundreds of thousands of athletes, worn by Chris Bumstead, worn by whoever is big for Gymshark clothes women, right? Or gym clothes women. And then we would layer in worn by 5 million athletes, best-selling seamless sets, selling out fast, like urgency, scarcity, more authority. And then most importantly, we would have a live promo sync across all campaigns. So you can easily set it up within Google Ads where you basically show certain promotions. And as far as I know, Gymshark always has some form of a promotion. So it's either a New Year's sale or a Valentine's sale or an Easter sale or pre-summer sale or midsummer sale, or you mention it, okay? Now, number 4 is that they are burning money on brand. And earlier in the video, I mentioned that they should probably have some form of brand protection. But right now, they're literally, to my calculations, spending most of their money on branded search. And that's tough because people are already looking for Gymshark. So you don't have to show up on literally every placements out there on the search ads and spending all your money towards getting that brand search traffic in, because that's literally wasting budget. People are already wanting to buy from Gymshark. So there's a very big likelihood that if they search for Gymshark legging, even if they don't show up at all, that they will just, the searcher will just scroll down and click on the organic result, which is why it's very important to track all your data with third-party measurement, like using Triple Whale, for example. So we expect extremely high spend on their own brand name. The problem there is that branded search captures demand, yes, but it doesn't really create it. And if most spend is brand, then your growth slows down, which is why we want to reinvest or reallocate the investments more towards non-branded search. Okay. So what we would do is rebalance spend, reduce spend on the branded dominance part, and then shift budgets into non-branded search, shopping, and creating demand through a campaign type called demand gen, where the goal will be that they have to turn Google Ads into a growth channel and not just a safety net. Now, number 5 is that they are using an outdated ad copy and pretty sloppy execution, if you ask me. So this was really, really shocking to me, if this is correct, and to my findings it is. So I researched this a couple days ago by the end of March, okay? And Gymshark, as shown in this screenshot right here, ads in the UK today at the time was by the end of March, that they are still communicating a Black Friday sale, which is pretty strange if you ask me. And if I would see that, or let me put it this way, I think data will show that if people see that their brand value or the perceived value of the brand will go down because they don't come across as professional as they want to be. And that really kills performance. So it breaks trust. it decreases the CTR, it hurts the quality score because of the lower CTR, and it pretty much makes the brand look careless, right? So what we would do is we will have a central promo calendar, as I said, so with all the sales, the New Year's, the Valentine's, Easter, you mentioned it. We would create automated ad rules, which we can integrate in both Google Merchant Center to integrate with their products, and then integrate that within their Google Ads account as well to show up on search. And we would check it, just literally check it, because you don't want to show up with a Black Friday sale by the end of March, right? Okay, so point 6 is that they're missing massive search demand. So if we look at the Google Keyword Planner right here, we see 2.5 monthly searches in the UK alone. Okay, right there. So 2.5 total, from which 2 million searches just from mobile on gym clothes, gym cloth, gym clothes for women, women's gym gear, gym wear, and they're not fully capturing it. Obviously, I didn't look into their Google Ads account, but that's just what my research shows, right? So if we scroll down to the top, we have Gymshark legging. Yes, they show up there, but looking at the non-branded searches, they don't show up within like the majority of the placements that they could show up on. So that's an interesting one, okay? They're missing the demand, and that's a real loss because it's not marginal. If you want to scale, you have to attract customers who aren't literally searching for your brand, and that's category level revenue being lost. So what we would do is build a full keyword, we call it a keyword universe, where you basically break down all categories: gym, women, men, gym, high rocks, fitness, all USPs, all avatars, break them all down. And I won't get into the depths of it, but we can very simply create a structure where Google will create a automated ad copy and an automated final URL, so landing page, based on all the data that we put in there. And we would segment that by category, intent, and product type, which sets us up for scale. And then, obviously, we can scale aggressively on the winning components of the account and just put all the budgets into that, okay? Now, number 7 is they're not leveraging influencers to their full extent. And as I mentioned earlier, they have a good variety of athletes literally using their product and promoting their product. And I'm not aware of whatever is in those contracts, but if I were Gymshark, I would mention that everywhere. So looking at the videos, and I'm just a regular guy, right? But looking at the videos, I don't see any familiar faces right there. While they have people wearing Gymshark like Chris Bumstead, and so many other athletes as well. And that's pretty much insane because they already have that massive creative network. They already have that strong brand trust, and they already have social proof at real scale. Like they're literally the biggest fitness brand out there, but none of it is used in their ads. So what we would do is integrate influencer creatives into YouTube demand gen and display and build basically athlete-led funnels. Okay. So we could, for example, have 3 stages where first in a stage is an influencer hook, then a product USP, and then a direct CTA. That's basically the creative engine that you want to put in there. Now, looking at the growth strategy that we would build for Amplifize, from Amplifize for Gymshark, okay? What we would do is build the thing called a shopping feeder strategy. So run a standard shopping on a low target ROAS to fuel their Performance Max campaigns. It feeds data into a Performance Max feed only campaign, which only shows on the product placements. And then we would run Performance Max at a higher target ROAS, say 200 to 300%, which is profitable if they do it right. And if you factor in customer lifetime value, obviously, right? So the result there would be we have controlled scaling, better learning, and higher profitability. And with the controlled scaling, I mean real scaling every 2 to 3 days, if you ask me. Then we want to dominate on non-branded searches. So we would build a full coverage of category keywords, intent-based segmentation, and then aggressively scale on winners, where the goal is not to just own the brand and the brand searches, but the entire category. Now, number 3 is we would create a demand gen and YouTube flywheel. And for those who don't know, who aren't familiar with the newest Google Ads updates out there, obviously social like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, maybe even Pinterest is very interesting to create demand. Google is stepping into that game as well right now with, for example, YouTube Shorts campaigns, right? So what we would do is create a demand gen and YouTube flywheel where we put in all the creatives with the athletes, with the social proof, with the trust, with the guarantees, with the, like literally with everything. And we wouldn't just use YouTube for awareness there, but use it as a revenue driver. So the flow would be something like influencer video, which is a hook, a short form reinforcement. So other people creating UGC, we would just use that across YouTube Shorts as well, push that by using demand gen, and then close those people using search and shopping. Now, just a small caveat right here. If you are setting up demand gen for your own brand, what you want to have is a 2-to-1 ratio when it comes to colder targeting or lookalike audiences versus a remarketing audience. So what you want to have is, for the smaller accounts, for example, $200 a day on prospecting campaigns and then $100 a day on remarketing campaigns. The remarketing campaign will probably run at between 4 and 6x ROAS, and the prospecting campaign between a 1 and 2, which might not even be break even. But looking at the bigger picture and the bigger timeline within the entire account, you will see a uplift in performance, which will be above your break even ROAS. Okay. Now, as it comes to margin-based bidding, this is an optimization that we have listed in here, but we have to see how possible it is for them to create it. But we want to know what profits are being generated by all orders, right? So not all products are created equal. So we optimize for profit instead of just revenue using product level ROAS targets, or POAS targets, if you ask me, margin segmentation and value rules. And there's this tool that we use for this. It's called Profit Metrics. So look it up. That's a gem for today. Now, for international scaling, they're already an international brand. But instead of just random expansion, we would stabilize the UK with the non-branded stuff and with the YouTube demand stuff. We would clone what works into new markets with the information that we have about the market. So, for example, Germany is more into product specifications as compared to the UK, for example, and compared to the US. Then we want to localize all those ads, make sure that all the ad copy is actually correct, and that we use basically slang that people use in there, and scale gradually what works. Now, if we were to throw this all into a 90-day execution plan, we would have two phases. Phase one is to fix. So remove the outdated ads, obviously. Implement CSS. This is all one-day stuff. Rebuild the search structure all week one. Separating brand and non-branded all week one. And then launching the feeder strategies pretty much also week one. Now, in the other 7 to 8 weeks, what we want to do is optimize based on data. Okay, so we have all this new data. We see what a feeder is doing to the Performance Max campaigns. We see what happens into the branded and non-branded stuff. We see how the rebuild of the search structure is working out. And then based on all the data that we have, we optimize from there. Now, phase two, month 2 to 3, we want to expand the non-branded coverage, scaling what works and killing what doesn't, or optimizing for that matter. We want to launch the YouTube and demand gen flywheel, introducing influencer creatives, UGC, all that stuff, and then optimizing the account structure based on margins by using that tool that I just mentioned, Profit Metrics. Now, about Profit Metrics, you probably want to integrate that already on day one. Okay, so it basically gets filled up with data that it can use once you set the account over or turn it over to profit-based bidding. Now, looking at the core problem is that Gymshark has a world-class branding, elite influencer network, and a massive demand, but their Google Ads execution is just mid-tier. It's not the absolute worst that I've seen among the bigger brands, but they're missing out on the money when it comes to CSS, when it comes to non-branded, spending probably too much on branded, and that's just a waste. So the opportunity here is that if Gymshark aligns search coverage, creative strategy, feed optimization, and profit-based bidding by using Profit Metrics, Google Ads doesn't just stay a support channel, but a category-dominating revenue engine. Okay? Now, that's the entire Gymshark structure. And if you want us to do this for you as well, we do rebuild Google Ads accounts like this every day. And if you want to scale profitably, capture missing demand, outperform competitors, you can just book a call below. I'll throw the link around this video as well. You can easily book a call with our sales team. And yeah, we hope to see you there. For now, thanks again for watching this video. And I see you in the next one. Cheers.